Hi everyone, welcome to Cloud on Air. My name's Jay Jenkins. I'm a customer engineer based here in Singapore. Hillary O'Connor has over 20 years of experience in IT, most of that focused around project and productivity tools. In this session, Hillary is going to do a deep dive on G Suite, our team-based tools that can help your organization be more collaborative. Remember that at any time, you can ask a question below, and we have technical experts standing by ready to assist. In addition, toward the end of the session, you'll have an opportunity to provide us additional feedback. So please do so we can make sure that this is valuable for you. So let's hand it over to Hillary now in Australia.
Thanks, Jay. Hi, everyone. I'm Hillary O'Connor, a customer engineer here at Google with the Google Cloud team. I'm coming to you today from the sunny shores of Bondi Beach. Well, almost. I've got a great picture behind me at least. As you can tell by my accent, I'm not actually Australian. I am a Kiwi and based in Auckland in New Zealand. So thank you for joining me today. We're going to talk about G Suite and how it can improve productivity and collaboration within your organization. So we're going to cover three main areas. Firstly, how G Suite can in fact improve that productivity and collaboration within your organization. Then we're going to take a hands-on look. We're going to do a demo and get a real feel for what G Suite looks like, what it's like to work with, so you can get hands-on, well, I can get hands-on and show you what it's like to work with it. And last but not least, I've got three products that I'm quite excited about in the upcoming G Suite roadmap that I want to share a little bit more with you about. So let's get started, and we'll just take a quick look at G Suite, what it offers and how it can help you improve collaboration. So if you have a look at this picture, at first glance, both pictures look fairly similar. On the left-hand side, we have a group of people in a boat on the ocean. On the right-hand side, we have a group of people on a boat also on the ocean. But if we look a little bit more closely at these two pictures, we'll see some differences. On the left-hand side, apart from the size of the boat, whilst there's a group of people on the boat, there's only one person that's actually steering the boat, only one person that's in control of the boat, of its direction and of its speed. Everybody else is, yeah, sure, they're on the boat, but they're just along for the ride. They've got no real input into where the boat's going or how it's being steered. On the right-hand side, you have a group of people. Every single one of them has a part to play in the speed and direction of where that boat is going. They each know what their role is, and they've each got, as I said, that part to play to getting that boat to their outcome. And that will really help them, as you can see, drive to that max velocity, actually get better results from the boat faster, and all be part of that same team. So how does that apply in a business context? Well, we hear from our customers a lot that, well, a year ago we adopted the latest and greatest from our current vendor, but nothing's changed. We're still working the same way that we did before. We're not actually doing anything different. We haven't improved our collaboration. We haven't improved our productivity. And it's not really that surprising if you think about it. If we go back 30 years, we used to create a document with a pen, paper, we'd write our document, we would pop it into the internal mail in an envelope, we would send it out to people to comment and review on, they would then make their changes, and they would send that document back to us. And then we'd have multiple revisions coming in from multiple different people, which we would then have to consolidate into a new version and send it round and start that loop all over again. Fast forward 30 years to today, we've got new tools, but the processes remain the same. We, instead of using a pen and paper, use a word processor. Instead of internal mailing it around, we're using email. Instead of somebody using a highlighter and scribbling in the margin, they're tracking changes in a word processor, and then they're emailing it back to us. And of course, somebody still ends up with all of these individual versions. And we all know what that's like. Version 1, version 2, and my personal favorite, version final, version final, version final, do not copy, do not delete. You know how it goes, on and on. Well, at Google, we didn't want to work like that. We wanted to work differently. We wanted to develop the software equivalent of this, everybody in a room together, collaborating in real time. So we didn't just want to create a productivity solution that was a new version 2.0 of what was already out there. We really wanted to reinvent this from the ground up. We wanted to develop it in a way that would allow us to really perform at that max velocity that we talked about earlier, to allow people to, even if they're not in the same room as each other, to feel like they were in the same room, working on the same document in real time. And again, even if they're not even able to work on the document at the same time, but be able to see exactly what's happened in that same document whilst they were away, because well, it looks like people creating together from anywhere. So whether I'm on a mobile device or a tablet, I have the same view of the document that everybody is working on. I can see on my mobile phone exactly in real time who's doing what at the same place that they're doing it within the document. It looks like a team tracking their results in real time. No more does the sales manager have to wait for a Monday morning meeting to get updates from all of his sales team. The sales team in real time are able to go in and add their updates, add their forecasts, add their sales into a spreadsheet, which the sales manager can, even if they're not in the office, they can do this on the road as they make a sale. So the sales manager is able to then track those results in real time without having to wait or without having to get lots of different inputs from all of his team and then consolidate them himself into that same document. It looks like a single place for the team to store everything. So one central source of truth for all of your files, whatever file types that they may be, safely and securely stored, where you can manage who you share that with and for how long you share them with. And I will go into a little bit more detail on that in the demo in a second. But again, we can see that regardless of whether I've got a mobile phone, whether I've got a tablet, or whether I've got a laptop, I have the same view of my files, who is doing what with them, all the time. It looks like people talking face to face to make decisions. So we want to make it as simple and easy as possible and break down barriers for people to be able to connect with each other. And we'll have a look in the demo in a second about how easy it is and some of the changes that we've made with Hangouts and Hangouts Meet to make it a true enterprise offering that really does make it easy for people to connect together. Again, regardless of where they happen to be and what device they happen to be on. We've also changed the way that conference calls work as well. So this may be something you still do today, or it may be something that you remember. You have to go into the conference room, dial in a number, dial in the PIN code, then wait for the leader to join, and potentially listen to some happy hold music while you're waiting for all this to happen. With Google Hangouts, you don't have to worry about any of that. We take care of all of that for you. You can simply schedule an ad hoc conference, or you can hop into a meeting that's already been pre-scheduled simply by clicking on the link, and you're taken straight into that meeting, as are all the other participants. No more waiting around for the leader to join. So, enough of me talking at you. Let's go and have a look and get hands-on with G Suite, see it in action, and see some of these things that I've been talking about. So I'm going to start by hopping into Google Drive. Now you'll see AutoStrat on here, if you're looking carefully. So AutoStrat is the name of the fictional company that we're working with today. AutoStrat will make them be a sales company that sells heavy equipment. So I think of big diggers and excavators and those sorts of things, and they're really concerned about health and safety. So we'll start by having a quick look at Drive. You can see that on the left-hand side, I have a My Drive, and I've got the traditional files and folder structure that I'm quite happy to have if I want. And I've also got something called a Team Drive down the bottom. Now I'll go into a little bit more detail on this further on in the session, but the key difference between a My Drive and a Team Drive is it's kind of what it sounds like. My Drive, I own the files, I determine who they're shared with and when. A Team Drive, you have collective ownership of those drives. So I may have a team, everyone in the team can see all of the folders and all of the files within this drive, but there's team ownership rather than it being just down to one person. So of course this means that if somebody joins the team, we simply add them into the team and they get access to all of those files and all of those folders. And consequently, if somebody leaves the team, then we just take the access away and obviously the access goes. And no longer are we having to worry about what files Bob owned, and now Bob's left the team, we need to transfer the ownership to somebody else. Because we have that collective team ownership with Team Drive, all of those issues go away. So as I said, if you look on the left-hand side, you can see I've got a traditional folder structure here, but you don't really need to worry about saving your files in different folder structures anymore, because at Google we do know a thing or two about search. So why catalog all your files and folders when you can just search for what you want? So in this case, I want to look up something to do with a webinar. So oddly enough, AutoStrat is in the webinar business as well. So let's type in webinar. And you can see that by default, it's found a couple of documents that I've recently been using and a folder. But I want to go a little bit further than that because there's something else I wanted to find. So just by clicking on enter, it's going to do a full search for me. And you can see that it's told me in the bottom left-hand corner that it's found a file that was in my trash that might be suitable. It's also returned those documents that it showed me before. But it's also gone a step further and found me some other documents. Now if I click on this as a PNG file, so an image file, if we look on the right-hand side, there's nothing in the metadata about this file that tells me that it's got the word webinar in it anywhere. But if I open it up, we can see that inside the image itself, inside this PNG file, it has got the word webinar. So the Google search has been able to go inside and pick out the words from within the image, recognize them, catalog them, and easily help me find what I need to find. Okay, so as we said, we work for AutoStrat. They are a heavy equipment manufacturer and sales company. I'm a field worker. I've been working on a big piece of heavy machinery, and unfortunately I've had an accident and I've hurt myself. I don't remember what I'm supposed to do, except I know I'm supposed to fill out a form. I just don't know where it is. So I'm going to head over to Google+. So Google+ is our enterprise social tool. And what that allows us to do is share lots of information with our colleagues and what we call communities. So I may have a community that's just a very small, say, subject matter expert community. So say some of the field workers work on a specific piece of machinery. They may have a community just based around that. I may have an AutoStrat-wide community that everyone at AutoStrat can be a part of and post information into, or I may even have a community that I share with external people outside of AutoStrat as well. In this case, as a field worker, I'm heading to the AutoStrat Health and Safety community because, as I said, I know I'm supposed to fill out a form, but I just don't remember where it was. We can see here that people have been posting lots of things in the community that aren't related to the form that we're looking for necessarily. We can see the Finland team has been doing some ice fishing on an offsite. We can see that Jeff has livened up his safety equipment by spray painting it. And you can imagine there could be hundreds and hundreds of different posts in here because that's the point of G+, this dynamic sharing of information. So I can just simply come in here and search. I can type an incident because that's what I've had. And sure enough, it's just going to respond straight away with the form that I'm looking for. Now I'm going to go and click on the link here to the form, and it's going to open up, surprisingly enough, a Google form. Now you'll see it just looks like a nice looking form with lots of different fields and options for me to fill in. Because I have edit rights for this form, in the top right hand corner I can click on this edit button, and it's now going to take me to the back end of the form, and I can see what it's like to create this form and change this form. You'll see it looks very, very similar to the actual published view of the form as well. Now, so it's super easy for somebody that doesn't know anything about technology, doesn't know anything about HTML or style sheets or anything like that, to come and customize this form. So I'm going to add a question just by clicking on the Add Question link. And I'm going to add gender. So I want to collect the gender of the person that's filling out this form. Now, normally, I would type in gender, and then I would decide it was a multiple choice field, and then I would go through and I would figure out which options I needed to add. So male, female, other, prefer not to say. But you've been hearing throughout the week, and you've heard some already, and you'll hear some as the week goes on, about the machine intelligence investments that we're making at Google as a whole and the wider Google. And the great thing about that is that these investments are starting to filter down both into Google Cloud Platform and into G Suite. And Forms has got a great example of where that's happening. So I'm going to type in gender now and watch what happens. I can type in gender, and you can see that straight underneath it's popped up with a list of suggestions based on the fact that I've asked for a gender field, and I can just simply click on Add All, and I haven't had to go ahead and type in male, female, prefer not to say, or other, or choose multi-choice. It's done all that for me. And that works across things like dates and times and anything that it can infer your meaning from and come back to you with appropriate suggestions. So that's great. I've now added gender to the form. I can drag and drop it around if I want to. We'll pop it down here, and then go ahead and look at the form again. One thing I will show you as well is I can collect responses inside the form. So if I click on responses here, I can see a quick summary view of who's filled out the form and the answers that they've said. But we can also see that it's linked to a spreadsheet here. So in real time, whenever somebody fills out the form, their response will be put into the spreadsheet, and so that we're able to get insights out of the data in real time as the responses are coming in. So if I flick back here to the actual published version of the form, so let's fill this out quickly. We'll see how fast I can type. I'm going to type in my name, so I can't even spell. We're going to choose the gender, pick today's date, and just grab a time. Choose my role. Let's be a asset health supervisor from Griffith. Okay, so I have had a neck injury, electrical neck injury. Doesn't sound nice. So I put some comments in. I've burnt my neck. I'm not entirely sure how, but we'll just go with that. Okay, so I'm going to submit this and pop over to that sheet, and straight away you can see that I've got a new entry in the top row of my spreadsheet saying that I've had a neck injury, it's an electrical hazard, and I have burnt my neck. And we've got the gender in there as well, which is great. So we've got a whole list of rows and we've got a whole list of responses, but how do we derive insights out of that? Well, traditionally, we would come in and we'd probably start putting some charts in. So we'd go into insert and chart, then we'd figure out what data it is we wanted to display on the chart, and then try and work out which chart is most appropriate for the data that we're looking to display. Some people, that's second nature to them. Some people, it can be a bit of a struggle and it can take a lot of time to do that. And sometimes people miss out on seeing what exactly the best insights into the data can be because they don't know exactly how to display what they're looking for. So again, using that machine intelligence that I talked about before, Google Sheets has this built in and takes away some of those problems for you. So I can choose my data and pop down to the bottom right-hand corner here where I have the Explore pane. So by clicking on the Explore pane, Sheets quickly analyzes my data and it says, okay, well, based on the data that I found, these are the most relevant charts that we think that you should be using. So I can come down here and I can see things like count of injury, and I can just simply drag and drop it into my spreadsheet, and bang, I've saved a couple of minutes from creating that chart from scratch. I haven't had to do that at all. So what if we want to take that a step further? Because that's all very nice, but what if I don't want charts in my data? What if I just simply want to ask a question of the data? What if I want to say, what's the most common injury? Well, again, thanks to that machine intelligence and our natural language processing, I can say, what is the most common injury? So I can just talk to it in real time, send that away, and sure enough, it's going to come straight back and say, well, next the most common injury with a count of 18 results. So that's pretty awesome if you think about it, that it was super simple. I didn't have to know any particular formulas or functions. It's just done all that for me just by asking a question in the way that I like to speak. So this has been great. We've seen our data. We've got a few basic insights from it. But what if we want to go to that next level and really get some greater visualizations on our data? That's where Google Data Studio comes in. So Google Data Studio is a product that sits alongside G Suite. You don't have to pay for it, which is also awesome, but it integrates very nicely into G Suite, into the Google Sheets, into Google BigQuery, and numerous other external data sources. So you can see here I've got this dashboard up now. So this dashboard is sitting straight back onto that sheet that we just looked at, and that sheet that we just looked at is sitting onto that form. So when I fill out the form, my spreadsheet gets updated, my spreadsheet gets updated, my dashboard gets updated. So I can see here that I've got, again, 18 neck injuries. I can filter by different location if I want to. I can filter by a date range. And I've even got a geographical view of my data of exactly where all of these injuries are occurring. I can see a cluster of results here. I can hover over them, and then I can even kind of hop on one of the breakouts and see that Wollongong, for example, has 4. A count of 4. So just a nice way to display the data in a super visual way. There's lots of different other examples of dashboards you might want to create. A couple I've thought of here around leave requests perhaps. So a great way for a manager or an executive of an HR perhaps across the whole business to get a feel for the different types of leave requests that are coming through and who's requesting them and for when. And even through to say end of day sales reports for the company. So again, you can see there's lots of different graphics, lots of different widgets and ways we can display this data. And I'm sure if you think about it within your company, you can think of different ways of the data that you have and how this could be displayed visually. And it doesn't just need to be on a laptop. You could think about these being on digital signage displays, perhaps in a parts warehouse or on a factory floor, or even in an executive's office or in a boardroom, so people can get those real-time updates of information. I've got edit rights to this as well. So I click on this edit right for the dashboard and you can again see that what it looks like behind the scenes is very similar to the published view that I had before. So again, very, very easy to drag and drop and add new widgets and new things into my data source. And I get a real-time view as I'm adding these widgets and as I'm adding these changes to the data source into my dashboard, I can see the results without having to publish it as well. So very powerful. Now let's just switch back in our mode to being a area manager, say, for AutoStrat. So we can imagine the area manager has come into the dashboard and he's a little bit concerned by what he's seeing around some of the incidents and injuries that are happening at AutoStrat. So he wants to get on top of this and start implementing some new health and safety policies. But he doesn't want to do this alone, he wants to work with his peers. So he's going to bring together his peers in a virtual meeting and work on a document with them. So let's see how that would go. So I have a couple of peers standing by who are going to help me out here. So I'm just going to click on my little Google Hangouts icon and start an instant message chat with a couple of my colleagues. So I can go in here, have a new conversation. I'm going to create a new group. We will call it Health and Safety. Going to add in Alvaro. If I could type his name, it would be great. Here we go, Alvaro and Natalie. And go ahead with that. It's going to create this instant message chat for me. And hi guys, are we still good for our call? And send that out. Obviously, this is something that could be very familiar for you, using this instant message kind of interface. Here at Google, we use this all the time. We find it super helpful for not having to pick up the phone necessarily and ring someone, get their voicemail, leave a message, or not have to send an email for something that I just need a quick 2-second response to. I can see that Natalie's ready when I am. I can see that Alvaro has seen the message and he's typing as we speak. And given that he's Colombian, he's speaking in Spanish, which is excellent, and he's on board as well. Now, I could elevate this chat into a video conference straight from here just by clicking on the video button, but I do want to show you the new Hangouts Meet interface because I think it's quite cool. We launched it a month or so ago. So instead of that, I'm going to click on Meet. So go to meet.google.com, and now I can see this new interface. So I can see here I've got a few meetings scheduled for the afternoon, for the evening. I could also start an ad hoc meeting if I wanted to, just create a new meeting and invite people to it. But in this case, I can see Natalie's about to jump into the Hangout now. You can see I get a little pop-up notification down there. So I'm going to jump into that same Hangout that she's got in her calendar as well, just by doing a simple click. It's going to take me into what we call the green room, and that green room is going to give me a quick view of how I'm looking if I need to adjust my hair or my makeup, and it's going to allow me to mute my video or my microphone if I want to. I can see that Natalie is already in the meeting. So I'm going to hop into the meeting, and I've got the choice of presenting my screen if I wanted to, and I can see Natalie there. Hi, Natalie. And I can also see Alvaro. Hi, Alvaro. So, Alvaro, are you all set and ready to help on the document? Excellent. Natalie, how about you? Awesome. All right. So we could spend all day talking, and in fact, we could keep the Hangout going while we work on the document. In this case, we'll drop out of the Hangout and we'll move over into the document. Now, thanks guys, just hung up on them. Now, what I'm going to do here is pop back into my team drive, and I can see that I've been working on a document, in fact a Word document. So a Microsoft Office document that's an excavator's inspection tool, and I want us to collaborate on this document together. So I'm just going to open my Word document, and you can see that it's not actually launching Office, it's not launching Word, it's just opening it straight within Drive. And here we are, we've opened a Word document within Drive without having to have Office installed on the machine. And it gets even better than that. I can come in here and I can actually start typing. So I'm editing this Office document, as I said, without having anything installed from Office on my machine. But I want to go a step further than that, and I actually want to collaborate like we saw before in real time with Natalie and Alvaro. So I go to share the document, and because it's only a Word document, I don't have the ability to do that. But with one click, I can save as a Google Doc, give it 2 seconds, and you'll see it's just converted that document from Word into a Google Doc format for me, just like that, and it looks just the same as it did in the Word format. And it's even got quite excited, and it's saying hooray down the bottom that it's done it. So that's great. And I can go ahead now and add in a table perhaps, because I want to get some ideas from the guys on how we can improve health and safety. So I want ideas, notes, and of course, you'll notice that I'm in this document alone at the moment, so let's invite Natalie and Alvaro in. I do that by clicking on Share, and now I've got the ability to share with Natalie and with Alvaro. And you'll see that I have some fairly granular permissions here as well. I can say that they can have full edit rights to the document. I can say that they can only comment on the document, or I can say that they can just view the document. I can go a step further than that, and as the owner of the document, I can say that the people that I give edit rights to cannot change the access or add new people to the document. And I can also say that people that I give comment or view rights to aren't able to download, copy, or print the document either. So we've got some IRM built into this as well, or information rights management. And I can also, if you see this little set expiration link, I can also say that Natalie, for example, only has access to this document for a set amount of time, 1 day, 3 days, 5 days, a month, however I want that to be. So I'm just going to go ahead now and click send, and they will get a notification now that I have shared a document with them, and they will then be able to come into this document, and we'll be able to see some of that real-time collaboration and co-authoring in real time. So give them a second to get that notification for the document. And I can see here, just to look at the top right, that Alvaro is in the document. We can see his little avatar has popped up here. And I can see that his colouring will be designated in pink. And you can even see that he's starting to type some ideas in as we speak. And in a second, I'm sure Natalie will hop in as well, and we'll start to see her working as well. So I could come in here as well and start adding some ideas of myself, maybe a health and safety day. Now, this is a fairly simple example to give you a feel for what it looks like. You could imagine perhaps in a larger organisation you might be working on a RFP document or a request for proposal document. So in the old days when I used to do these, we would generally have multiple teams that looked after these documents, and each one would have their own version of the document, and I wouldn't necessarily know what was happening with the other parts of the response. Now, if everyone was working on those responses in the same document, you can start to see what the other teams are working on, what they're thinking about, and then you can start to see how your narrative could change in your part of the response to make sure it's in the flow with everybody else. I can see that Natalie's in the document as well now. We can see her with a little designated with green, and we can see them both typing away. Now, we did talk earlier on about the fact you don't have to worry about version 1, version 2, version final, but it can be handy to get a feel for what's happened in the document through the life cycle of the document through a revision history. So now we've had a few changes to this document. I can go in here and see the revision history. And what it's going to do is bring up all of the changes that have been made to the document, and I can go quite granular. So by clicking on here, it's also reminded me that I imported this from a Word document and converted it across. So if I want to, I can click on this and see the original Word document that I imported it from. And I can also see all of the other changes that everyone has made and the colour that they've made them in. So if I click on here, I can see that at 6:57 there were lots of changes made. That was who made them and that was where they made them. And I can go a step further and restore this revision of the document if I want to as well. So that was a quick look at how we can work together in real time. One other thing we'll add is that we can see that Alvaro here has added a comment. So he's come in here, clicked on this particular part of the text and said, and what we do is he's tagged somebody in. So he's tagged Ian in and said, can you please talk to Marco about this? We've also got the ability to go slightly further than that and assign things to people. So I'm going to click on here, add my own comment, and I'm going to say to Alvaro, please look into this, and I'm actually going to assign it to him. So that assigns a task to him. That means that he needs to come into the document and resolve that task once he has actioned that item. So no more having to be in a meeting perhaps and start writing a whole lot of action items. You can just tag people in line in the meeting notes with the actions that they need to do. And you can see that's been assigned to him, and then when he completes it, he can just click this little checkbox here to say that he's resolved it and done. So we started off by having a look at Google+, which was our dynamic enterprise social tool. So we went in there were lots of comments and lots of dynamic postings, and that could be a great place to share the latest version of our document. But we also might want a bit more of a site that we can go to that's got more static content. So maybe perhaps more like a traditional intranet or team-based site. So I'm going to head over to Google Sites. And if I come into Google Sites here, I can see the back end of a site that I've created for health and safety. You can again see that it looks exactly like what the published version would look like, and it's very easy for non-technical users to come in here and add text boxes or images or pages or change a theme without having to have an understanding of any HTML or any style sheets or anything like that. So we can see it's a nice, beautiful looking site, very simple to create. If I click on the preview button here, it's going to take me in and show me what the site will look like on my laptop. It's going to show me what the site will look like on my tablet, and even more interestingly, what the site will look like on my mobile device. Now you can see it's refactored the content for me using responsive design without me, again, having to write any HTML or any CSS. It knows, based on the content that I've got, what the best layout is for the smaller screen real estate that I have on a mobile device. It's relayed this out for me, exactly the same information as I had before, just in a more appropriate form factor. So that was a quick whistle-stop tour through some of my favorite features of G Suite. So we're going to hop back over into the presentation and take a look at a couple of features and a couple of products in a fraction more detail. So team drives, we did talk about this at the start of the demonstration. So that was our collectively owned shared spaces for teams, where all the files are owned collectively by a team. So it's super simple if team members leave or join the team. Google Cloud Search. So You're able to easily search across Gmail, Drive, Docs, Sheets, Groups, etc. And even more so than that, if you go into Google search for the day, it'll say you've got a meeting upcoming later on today. This document might be useful for you for that meeting. So it can start to give really insightful recommendations, again powered by that machine intelligence we talked about before, to help you save time as you go throughout your day. You saw that we were able to work with all different file types. So I can store whatever kind of files that I want in Drive, and I've got built-in viewers for well over 40 different file types. You saw that I was able to edit Office documents without having Office installed on my laptop, and the same goes for a mobile device too. I can edit those Office documents without having Office installed. And we can go a step further than that and have a plugin built into Office that allows me to open my Drive files directly from within Office and also save back to Drive from within Office. You don't need to be constrained by infrastructure anymore. You've already heard some about Google Cloud Platform this week, and you'll hear more about it in the sessions to come. But all of the infrastructure that you hear about this week that underpins Google Cloud Platform is also what is underpinning G Suite. So you get all the benefits of our scale, of our global network, of our availability and our uptime without having to worry about any of that. You get unlimited storage with some of the SKUs, and by unlimited we mean unlimited. You can store as many files as you want in both Drive, as many emails as you want in Gmail without having to worry about running out of space. And you can even store up to 5 terabyte individual file sizes as well. And above all that, we try and be as green as we can be, and we hold ourselves to a very high bar when it comes to measuring our energy efficiency. Data needs to be safe and in compliance. You heard Shyster talk about this yesterday and about G Suite and security in particular, so I won't go into too much detail about that now. But you also need to be assured that what we tell you is true. So we have all of the certifications that you would expect as well, from ISO 27001, 27017, 27018, SOC 2 and SOC 3, etc. We have data loss prevention controls. Your data is encrypted in transit and at rest. We have e-discovery and archiving tools with Google Vault. So as I say, if you want to hear more about any of these safety features and the compliance features, go and have a look at Shyster's session from yesterday, and she'll take you through all of that. And above all, it's easy to manage. We have a centralized admin console. This console allows you to see easy reporting. It allows admins to undelete a file. So we've all had that moment we've deleted a file, emptied our trash, and then gone, oh no, I really needed that file. Well, now the admin can undelete that for you. And we integrate with AD, with any other LDAP sources, with single sign-on for other external apps you may want to integrate with as well. So what results can you expect from what we've seen today? Projects finishing in weeks and not months because you're part of that connected team. So hopefully you saw through that real-time collaboration and co-authoring that because I was able to see what was going on in real time, you can really get things done. If we go back to that RFP example, because I'm seeing what everybody's working on in real time, I can start to change my results and my responses based on what I'm seeing. I don't have to wait and then redo everything I've done because the rest of the team has gone in a different direction. And we've seen through this machine intelligence the ability to save 10 seconds again and again and again. You can imagine you yourself saving 10 seconds. You can imagine that then extrapolated across your wider organization, everybody saving time here and there across days, weeks, months, and years. And as you're able to integrate your work and personal life, so you can be there for the moments that matter. If you need to leave work early to get to your child's soccer game perhaps, you can absolutely do that. And if you choose to make yourself available to be able to still work while you're there, perhaps during a break, then you're able to hop on a Hangout, get your email on any device, anytime, wherever you happen to be. We've got more than 5 million companies that have gone Google, lots of great logos here. If you're interested in finding out more about these or perhaps about companies that are more relevant to you and your industry and your location, head over to gsuite.google.com/customers. You can filter by location, you can filter by industry, you can filter by product, and read about all these great case studies and what their customers have done and how it's improved collaboration and productivity within their organization. So let's step forward into the future for a second and look at a few key products that are coming up that I quite like, that I think you might like as well. So AppMaker, one of my personal favorites. If you're a developer or a citizen developer or someone with an interest in development, AppMaker is going to be the tool for you. So what that lets you do, it's a low-code development tool that lets you rapidly prototype applications or even build actual enterprise-grade production applications for your business built on top of G Suite and built on top of Google Apps Script. You don't have to write any code if you don't want to, hence the low code title. But if you do want to have the extra flexibility, it's integrated with all the great Google APIs you'll hear more about throughout the week. and you can go through and create a client script if you want, as well as that server-side script if you want as well. Or if you don't have any coding expertise, that doesn't matter. You can drag and drop the widgets that you want, connect them to the data source that you want, and we will write the code for you. Speaking of data sources, it has its own built-in data model that you can use, which sits on top of Drive, or you can connect it to other third-party data sources such as Google Cloud SQL. So as I've said, super fast to ideate, so you can go from an idea to an app in days or even hours instead of months. And because it's underpinned by all of this great infrastructure we've talked about, you can just focus on your code and not worry about maintaining development environments. There's a couple of sample use cases that we've come across that both we've used internally at Google and that we've seen our other customers use. There are hundreds more examples out there that you could be using for AppMaker, and I'd love to hear some of the great successes you've had and some of the apps you've built on AppMaker as we move forward. If you're interested in finding out more about AppMaker, head to developers.google.com/appmaker, and you can express your interest for the early adopter program there. One point, you do need to be a current G Suite customer to sign up for the EAP. What happens if you combine Google with a whiteboard? You get Jamboard. So Jamboard is our old way of expression, reimagined for how you work today. So the ability to stand in front of a whiteboard like we used to and have post-it notes perhaps, but all of this in one place with being able to draw on the whiteboard as if we were in the room together, but we don't have to be in the room together. So we can see it's integrated with Hangouts here. I can have mobile companion apps, so it doesn't matter if I'm in the back of a taxi in another meeting room or on another Jamboard, I'm connected to what's happening all at the same time. So no longer do we have to take a photo of the whiteboard or write do not rub off on the whiteboard and send it round. We can just use the Jamboard and it will safely and securely store it back into Drive. It will even go one step further, and if you start handwriting on the screen, it will recognize your handwriting and save it into text for you. So no more trying to decipher someone's handwriting and work out what they said. If you're interested in finding out more about Jamboard, head to gsuite.google.com/Jamboard and you can register your interest there. One point to note that it will initially only be available in the US, but if you register your interest, when we start to expand to other regions, we will let you know. Last but not least, Hangouts Chat. So we saw throughout the demonstration, we saw instant messaging on Hangouts. We then saw the video conferencing built into Hangouts Meet. We now have Hangouts Chat that we also announced recently. Hangouts Chat is like a virtual team room, so that you're able to get everybody in a team working together in a chat that's persistent, so the chat doesn't go away, it doesn't disappear. You can have multiple threads that you work to. You can share documents together inside the chat room. When you share those documents, it knows who's part of the team, so it will automatically update the document permissions to make sure that everybody in the team can see them. You can interact with third-party application chatbots for, say, project management systems you may use or CRM systems you may use. You can search across all of the rooms and messages. I'll talk about the intelligent scheduling in a moment. You can also build an app script to this if you want to build in your own custom workflows if you would like them as well, in your own bots. And it's integrated with Vault and DLP and some of those other great safety features that Shyster talked about yesterday. So the last thing we'll talk about here is the Meet bot inside Google Chat, Google Hangouts Chat. So what that allows you to do is, again, this machine intelligence, it comes in, you say, I want to find a time to meet next week. It knows what us means because it knows who's in the team. It knows what next week means. It knows what meet means. And it goes ahead and it finds a time that works for everybody in that team and suggests this time for us. So again, saving those seconds and minutes as we go through. If you're interested in finding out more about Hangouts Chat, slightly longer URL this time, gsuite.google.com/campaigns/index_chat-eap.html. And you can go ahead and express your interest for the EAP there. And last point to note on this, again, you do need to be a current G Suite customer to sign up for the early adopter program. So that was a quick look at some of the great features that are coming out to augment the already amazing G Suite. We also had a look at a hands-on demo, and we went through and saw that power of that real-time collaboration and how I can save those minutes and seconds and days through machine intelligence, and how we haven't just reinvented productivity from the ground up, rather than just trying to make another productivity system out there. We wanted it to be very different so that you really can increase that productivity and collaboration within your organization. So thank you for joining me today. In a second, I will have KJ joining me, and we will go through some questions that you've been asking us throughout the session. couple of next steps that I'll get you to think about while we're waiting for the Q&A to start. If you want to get certified, head over to cloud.google.com/training and get certified. You can become a certified Google Cloud Platform person. You can become a certified G Suite administrator. You can become a certified Google Data Engineer. We've got hands-on labs at quicklabs.com. Coursera has got some great instructor-led training. Feel free to reach out to your local account teams directly. Go to cloud.google.com/contact and make contact with us. Sign up for that free trial, get hands-on, get playing, get to see the power of Google Cloud Platform by heading to cloud.google.com/free. And last but not least, it wouldn't be a G Suite session without talking about the G Suite learning tools that we have. So head over to gsuite.google.com/training and you can learn all about what we've talked about today and more. So come back in say 15 seconds or stay exactly where you are and we will come back to you within 15 seconds with KJ and go through a couple of the questions that you've been asking. See you in a minute, guys. Hi guys, I've got KJ joining me here.
Hello. Hey Hilary, how are you doing?
I am good, thank you. So apparently a few questions have come up throughout the session.
A few Q&A questions that we couldn't answer outside in the room, so thought we have to ask the expert here.
All right, let's go for
Let's
it.
see.
What have we got?
The first question that we got from the audience was, can I actually migrate my old data from existing sources to G Suite?
Yeah, absolutely. There's tons of migration tools out on Google.com that will take you through how to migrate your data, whether it be from Lotus Notes or Exchange. You can migrate your mail, your calendar, and your contacts. We also recently announced at Google Next acquisition of AppBridge, which will allow us to start pulling in files from your existing file systems into Google Drive as well. So make sure you check out some of those migration tools and also AppBridge as well.
Cool, amazing. Yeah. So stay tuned for AppBridge updates as well.
Yes.
Okay, so the next question was more about security and auditing. So how do we actually know who had access to documents?
Sure, there's a couple of ways you can do that. Firstly, if you remember when we were in Drive in the demo, on the right-hand side there was an activity pane, and I was looking at that for the metadata as to prove to you that webinar wasn't written anywhere. Yeah. In that activity pane as well, you can also see who's got access to the document, who's opened the document, and that revision history we looked at also showed who's made changes to the document. But if we take it more from an auditing perspective, we can head over into the admin console and have a look at the audit logs, and it will tell us exactly who's gone into the document and what they've done. And we could also take it a step further if we were to have that file into Vault as well. Yeah. And you could search through, so say that in the bad situation where perhaps we get sued and we need to put legal holds on that document, then we can put a legal hold on that document so that it can't be deleted or altered with, and we can see what was done with that document as a legal record in time.
Amazing. It's also, I know that there's also an API, so
absolutely
you could also build your own tools and use like Data Studio to build dashboards to see like, what do you think, like collaboration, like how many people actually open documents a day, so you can do quite cool statistics with that as well.
Great idea, love it.
Okay, what else do we have? Oh, can I use G Suite offline?
Absolutely. So that's one of the common misconceptions that people think, well, Google's an online company, therefore G Suite can only be used online. There's lots of different ways you can use it offline, one of which is obviously your mobile phone. So we've got all the mobile apps which work in full offline mode. And as well as that, if you're using your laptop or your tablet or whatever else, we've got the ability to view your Gmail offline. You can look at your calendar offline, and you can also view and edit your Google documents offline as well. So you don't need to have that internet connection, you just need Chrome, and everyone's got Chrome.
Is that a seamless experience for the user, or is this something that they have to install something?
No, once you install Drive, by default, it will put offline mode on for you. On your mobile phone, you just need, because obviously mobile phones don't have as much storage space as a laptop, it's going to say which files do you want to make available for use offline.
Oh, cool.
But if I'm on my laptop, then it's going to sync up to 5 gigs of my most recent files, and the ones that it thinks I'm going to use the most of automatically for me.
Amazing. I guess the next question goes more into, the next two questions actually go more into a privacy direction. Like,
sure.
you know, I mean, I'm putting a lot of data onto G Suite. do you scan them for ads, and will you actually then show me ads, basically?
Again, another common misconception that I'm very pleased that you guys asked about. So no, under no circumstances are we scanning or using any data that you put into G Suite for ads. That is a consumer proposition. So obviously consumer tools and Gmail and those sorts of things are funded by ads, but in the enterprise world, absolutely not. No. The only way we use your data is the rights that you've given us to do so, so for allowing us to search, if you want to do a search and find your data, spell checking, those sorts of things. It's the only reason you're using your data. When you put your data into G Suite, you own it. We are merely the data processors. In fact, we can even prove that to you through our data processing amendment, which if you feeling quite legal, you can go and review.
It's a pretty long read.
It's a pretty long read, but it will tell you exactly what it is that we can and cannot do with your data, and what we will not do, which is not scan it for ads.
And I believe there is a privacy white paper as well?
Absolutely.
Okay. Yep. Yeah. And the last question we have from the audience was, is G Suite data encrypted?
Yes, absolutely. I touched on it super briefly in the presentation, so thanks for asking more about that. So yes, your data in G Suite is encrypted both in transit and at rest. And we actually have an awesome white paper, quite in-depth white paper that explains to you exactly how your data is encrypted, all the different methods and protocols that we use to encrypt the data. So if you go to google.com and search for G Suite encryption white paper, it's going to take you through all of those in detail. Okay, yeah, cool. I guess we got quite a few white papers to cover as a bedtime read. Yes, absolutely. And I think with that we have no more questions. So okay. I think Thanks, guys. Thank you for your questions. Thanks, KJ, for asking the questions and for bringing them to light. So thank you again for joining. I really hope that was useful for you guys and you got a really good feel for how G Suite can, in fact, improve collaboration and productivity within your organization. So just remind you again, go out and get certified, do the hands-on labs, go and do some of this instructor-led training, come and talk to us. Do the free trial, get hands-on, start playing with this awesome technology, and go and learn more about G Suite if you're using it today and want to know how you can get even more out of what you're doing, or go and see what some of our existing customers are doing and how you could use those use cases in your business. So thanks again, and I look forward to talking with you some more over the coming months, and look forward to you guys seeing the next sessions tomorrow. Yep. And later on tonight. See you guys. Thanks, guys.